everyone, and welcome to my very first cosplay craft tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you all how I transformed a beautiful white tank top into this bloody, dirty mess of a baby firefly cosplay. So first of all, you're going to want to put some newspaper down to make sure that you're not ruining whatever surface you're doing this on, because we are going to get pretty messy. You're also going to want a pair of scissors and a lighter. You're going to need 3 colors. I just use Crafter's acrylic paint. You can get it at the dollar store here in Canada. Black, red, and purple. You're also going to want a glass for your water, which will be tea water, and a nice large brush. I like to use a blush brush. You're also going to want orange Pico tea. Orange Pico tea. Okay? At least 1 bag, maybe 2. You're going to want some cardboard sleeves for your shirts to make sure that what you do on one side doesn't end up on the back. And of course, you're going to want shirts to transform. So today I'm going to be updating one of my Tank Girl cosplay shirts that already says 40 Watt Club. All I did was Sharpie it a few years ago. It is already a little dirty because life happens, but we're going to make it way worse. And I'm also going to be doing my Lara Croft Tomb Raider tank top, which I purchased on Amazon. So this shirt and this shirt were both purchased on Amazon.ca for around $20 Canadian, and they also both came with bundles. So this one came with a matching black tank top, and this one came with a matching darker blue tank top. So, thank you, Amazon. All right, we're going to start by putting our tank tops onto our cardboard sleeves. So I've got a smaller one for this. So let's get this on there. All right, there. And a larger one for my blue tank top. Okay. And I'm not really too worried about the straps, so I'm going to pull it up because I really want to make sure that this is the section that we are focusing on. So there, our shirts are wrapped and we're ready to go. So you're going to want to take a tea bag and grab some warm water, and you're going to make a little cup of tea. It's Canada, everything's cold. This could take a minute. Maybe I should have boiled some. No, kettle's empty. There we go. Alright. Okay. So I'm just gonna let that steep for a minute. Now, I mentioned that we're using red, purple, and black paint, and that's because blood is not naturally bright red unless it is fresh and full of oxygen. Also, we are making this look like aged blood, which is, of course, always darker. So, on my nice newspaper, I'm going to mix together a pretty decent amount of red. Okay. Now you might want to use like a paint tray or something. This is what I do. And then I just bunch it all up at the end and throw it in the garbage. So I've got some red, a good amount of red. And then some purple. And some black. Which is not a color, it's a shade. What? Okay. All right. So I'm gonna mix these together. Let's see how this looks so far. See, that's very, 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 very dark. Very dark. I'm gonna add way more red. More red. Yeah. Starting to get there. See, it's not really red, it's more of like a burgundy tone. And when it's watered down, it's really going to look authentic. I usually go through like a half a bottle of red paint every time I do this. I also use what's left over for cosplay. Like I will paint myself with cuts and stuff. You don't have to use this much paint, but all right, so we've got that. That's all done. I'm gonna rinse off this brush now because I need it for my tea. So you're also going to be doing a little bit of staining or painting with a tea bag. So like I said, you're going to want a second tea bag. I said you're probably going to want two. You could just use that one, but I've got a whole box of them here, so I'm going to use a second one. All right, so let's do the white tank top first so that it's really obvious. So just wet the tea bag, okay, and like just drip it over. All right, you're gonna see that beautiful discoloration, nice dirty look, but you don't really want it to look too much like it's dripped on there. Right now I'm just making sure that these areas are really thick with it. And then I'm going to take the tea bag and just drop it right on there. Okay. So the spots that you do directly with the tea bag are going to be far more concentrated. And I don't know if the camera is really picking this up, but the spots that I dripped on, you can already tell that they're darker. Okay, so I'm going around the spots that I dripped on first to make sure they are extra dark. And then I'm going to take my brush and use the tea water for a lighter stain. Got a little bit of the blood in there still, but that's okay. And then those, when it dries, those are going to be lighter zones. All right. Okay, so that's one side done. This is a really, really quick and easy craft to do, by the way, if you haven't picked up on that already. So there we go. You can see that the dark, you can kind of see the spots, right? And then you see the darker side, and then you can see the lighter area that I did with just the brush. So now we're gonna flip it over and do the back. Nice and concentrated. Okay. So this shirt, I'm not putting any blood on this one. This is just, I just wanted this to be dirtier. Because let's face it, Tank Girl lives in a world where there's no water and she probably can't do any laundry. So her shirts should be pretty dirty, right? And I like to be really authentic with my cosplays. So here we go. All right. So I made some nice dark sections there. And now I'm gonna go over it with the tea water. in the later slots. Okay. There. Voila. I'm just going to set this aside to dry for a bit. Once it's not completely dry, but not dripping, I'm going to be throwing it into the dryer on its own because I don't want it to touch anything else. All right? And I certainly won't be putting it in the dryer with the Tomb Raider tank top because that's going to have lid on it and then they'll just get mixed together. We don't want that, right? Okay, so we're going to put this one to the side. So the Tomb Raider tank top that I'm doing is from the new game, and she has a wound. So I'm going to, and it's right around here if I remember correctly, so I'm going to take my scissors and cut a little hole in the general area. Okay. Make it a little bit bigger. Okay. And I'm going to wet it. All right. And then I'm going to singe it. That's what the lighter's for. If you are a child, don't do this without parental supervision. Don't do any of this without parental supervision. This is very messy, okay? So I'm taking the lighter and I'm going to just go right along the edge really carefully. Remember, it's damp, so it's not going to go, all right? Controlled burn. There. Just back and forth a little bit. All right. Give it more of a worn look there. Burn off some of the excess so it doesn't look like I just did it with a pair of scissors. There. There. I like it. Okay. So, first we're going to stain it, and then we're going to let it dry a little bit, and then we're going to put the blood on it. The reason we're going to wait a little bit is because if you add the acrylic paint to a wet shirt, it's going to bleed in a way you don't want your blood to bleed, okay? It's just going to spread everywhere, just like the tea does. So you really want to make sure that after you stain it with the tea, you give it time to dry as much as possible, maybe even wait and throw it in the dryer, and then add the blood later. All right. So let's make it nice and dirty. We've got the thick, dark drops. I also made the baby firefly pants, which are, I made them as authentic as possible, and if you are over the age of 18 and you've seen the movies, you know exactly why I'm not wearing them right now, because they are not entirely appropriate. I will be doing a tutorial later on how to stress fabric, because her jeans are covered in holes, which is part of the reason why I don't think it's appropriate for me wearing them right now. But there's definitely a method to making your clothing look worn when it comes to denim. And we will get to that later. Okay. No, I think I should add more water. This is getting kind of low. Alright. Just make sure it's not clear. Get it dark. Nice and dark. Alright. And I could go over it with the tea bag again, like directly onto the fabric, but this shirt isn't white, so it's going to be less noticeable. if I do that. So I'm just kind of blending it together with the blush brush and the tea water. I also think these are like kind of two different types of dirt looks. Not to say that I'm completely overthinking this, although I am. But if you think about it, Tank Girl comes from a world where she can never wash her stuff. So her things are going to be completely, entirely covered in dirt, completely stained all the time. Whereas Tomb Raider, Little Miss Lara Croft, she had a clean shirt, but it's splattered with dirt now. So it would make more sense that I have drops of dirt instead of just the full-blown brown effect we put on the other one. Okay. So that being said, the front of this one is now done. Phase 1. Alright, and you, again, as I said, I didn't do the direct tea bagging, so you can see the splatter spots. And then it's starting to bleed into the fabric because I just went over it with a brush. Now let's do the back. And I mean, there isn't really any like huge rhyme or reason to the way I'm going about this. Splatter it in whatever direction you want. Have fun with it. Cosplay's supposed to be fun, right? Crafts are too. All right. You know what, because I have only done tea on this, now that I'm thinking back on what I said, I am going to throw these two into the dryer together because there's no blood on this yet. But when I do the blood, that's definitely drying on its own. Okay, there we go. It looks good. I like it. Okay. Now let's make some movie magic. And suddenly, these are going to be dry. Just like they're dry. So, as you can see, our Tank Girl tank top is nice and filthy. There you go. You can see a little bit of the discoloration. It's a little lighter in the middle. Darker around the edges. Alright, cool. So of course the other tank top is blue, which means it's not going to show up as much, but you can still see that it is not as crisp. It's not that perfect robin egg shell blue anymore. Alright, so I'm going to put this back over my cardboard panel. And we're going to make it bloody. Can I do this? Come on. So we've got our purple, red, and black mixed together. We've got one wound, and then the rest is kind of just going to be splatter and some dripping from facial wounds. So I'm not using a brush for this. I don't use a brush when I do this. I use a tea bag. And this is where you really want to make sure that you have your newspaper covering your area. Now, I have marble countertops. I'm very fortunate that way. So when I miss it, and I probably will, it's not going to be hard for me to clean up. I'm also noticing that I want kind of a darker edge around my wound, so I'm going to go over it with a lighter now. My shirt is still slightly damp, so I'm just going to go right in there and singe it a little bit. There. Alright, I like the way that looks. Okay. So As I said, I use a tea bag for this. So you don't want it to be too wet, because if it's too wet, it's going to be just like you were working with a wet tank top, and your red is going to run in an unnatural way. Now, I did do some on here, and the reason that I did this is because I wanted it to look like she had bloodied her shirt more than a few times and had washed it and got as much of it out as possible. So there are layers of blood on this shirt. This one, again, Lara Croft is not Baby Firefly. She doesn't have layers and layers of blood on this beautiful blue tank top. It's all supposed to be new and fresh. So I'm going to, like, barely, I'm going to squeeze water out of it. Alright? Maybe a little bit wetter than that. Okay? And then I'm going to dip it in the red paint. Alright? I'm going to test it. No, still too much tea coming out and not enough paint. Really want to dab it. It's starting to get there. I'm already getting messy. Bloody. Okay. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. So, here we go. Alright. So, if I was bleeding from my mouth, it would come down, and you're just going to drip it down from the top. There we go. Nice. Yep, this nice and snug. I'm going to do a lot in the middle, kind of like I did with my Firefly. Okay, so we've got some blood. Looking good. Now, of course, Lara, unfortunately, has been attacked by people, and she's shot them and stuff, and she might have some blood splatter on her. So seriously, just whip it, okay? Just like... It's a fun motion, right? This you can put it down for. There we go. Nice. Alright. And then for my wound, I'm going to get right in there. So for the wound, I'm going to take the tea bag and put it directly over it. I'm going to aim for the bottom because it would be dripping down, okay? So you're just going to stamp it right against it, trying to avoid the top line of the hole. Just put it right on the edge and just press right in there. Okay. There. Try and get that middle section a bit. There we go. Nice. Now this deserves more blood. Okay? It's coming together. Making this one more wet. Don't forget to do the back side. I want more blood up here. Yeah. All right. Now we need to do the back. Doesn't that look fun? Also, and I did this with my baby Firefly, if you have blood on your hands and you were running around the middle of nowhere, what are you going to do with your bloody hand? You're probably going to wipe it on your shirt. So don't be afraid, like this is spreading beautifully. Don't be afraid to grab the shirt when you're doing this and just like, just wipe it right on there. Because how authentic is that? Okay? She's touching her shirt to fix her straps. It's all okay. There. Okay. Now we're going to do the back. I'm not going to put as much blood on the back because I think it makes way more sense on the front. There. I like it. Okay. Okay. So there. I have a very bloody, blood splattered Lara Croft tank top. There we go. And that's it. That's all you have to do. Some of you might want to use less blood, some might want to use more. I like to do a lot of really gory stuff, so there. I like it. Be careful not to put it right down on your surface because it's probably smothered right now. There you go. And that's it. That's all there is to it. So you're going to want to put this somewhere safe to dry because this is messy. This is the really messy part. I would suggest putting it down on fresh newspaper. I can flip this newspaper over and I've got some fresh newspaper right there and I'm just going to lay this right down and I'm not going to move it until it's nice and dry. But there you have it. And that's how you make a super bloody dirty shirt. Tea bag, some acrylic paint, some water, and of course a shirt. And that's it, you're good to go. So I'm going to wait for this to dry. I'm gonna post some pictures of it on my Instagram. If you guys wanna give me a follow, it's Rogue Woot. You can also catch me on Twitch and on Twitter under the same name. If you want a name to call me by, you can call me Rogue Woot, you can call me Rogue. Either of those will do for me. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Since we did part of a tank girl today, next week I'm going to be showing you guys how to make my bazooka bra. If you've ever seen the Lori Petty version of Tank Girl, there's a very famous scene in it where she's wearing these like torpedoes that they put on Tank Girl in the comic, which I absolutely love. I think it's brilliant and iconic for the character. So next week I'm going to be showing you all how to make that. It is one of my favorite craft projects, and I actually gave the old one away to one of my friends who is obsessed with Tank Girl, and she's actually a makeup artist. Her name is Julie Bones, and if you'd like to check her out, believe it's Beauty by Bones on Instagram, and maybe you'll catch her wearing it someday. Anyways, guys, this is Rogue Root saying thank you so much for watching, and enjoy the mess. I'll see you next week. Cheers, everyone.